relationship with nature and the land, it can be adventurous, it can be practical, it can be income generating, it could just be your job, right? I think there's also a bit of our soul that we can reclaim through that, reforging that connection.
Hi, I'm Ambreia, the associate editor here at Kindred by Parents, and I'm so grateful that you were willing to talk to me today, Baratunde.
Thank you for having me. I'm grateful you want to talk to me.
What is the most vivid memory that you have of being outdoors as a child?
Every Thanksgiving, my mother would take my sister and me out to the Eastern Shore of Maryland. We grew up in Washington, D.C., and it was always a little chilly, even cold, windy, and we would be the only people on the beach. The three of us and whatever dog we had at the time, usually Honey Bear, the best dog we ever had. And I remember this because the air was really crisp, because it was the most unique Thanksgiving tradition that I was aware of. I mean, we ate food and did the whole thing as well, but the real tradition was this like communing with nature, and it felt cleansing. I remember the salt water in my face and just feeling kind of renewed, like a salt spray shower or something. You could probably charge a lot of money for that at a spa these days, but we got it for free, just provided by nature. And that's something that we continued for years and years and years. And even after my mom passed, my sister and I have met up, near water where we can around that Thanksgiving time. So that's very early, as well as vivid memory.
So as you got older and you kind of progressed through life away from those formative memories, what did your relationship to outdoors look like? Like in the adolescent stage, in the teenage stage, now in adulthood?
Adolescent era, I mean, I was a Boy Scout. So I had, scheduled outdoorness. Every Saturday we meet up with the troop, and then we have our camping trips and whatnot. I rode my bike everywhere. Me and my friends had a little bike gang, bicycle, not motorcycle, not that kind of situation. We would ride down things that were way too steep. In fact, I remember coming back from a Boy Scout meeting, coming down the hill in the rain, me and my friend Jermaine, he's riding ahead of me on his 10-speed. I'm on my dirt bike, and he got hit by a car right in front of me. It was light enough that he wasn't actually hurt. Like he was crossing the crosswalk, the car came this way, and they saw him last minute and hit the brakes, but it looked like TV dramatic. He rolls up on the hood, on the roof of the car, bike gets pushed out. This all happens in slow motion. That's a vivid outdoor memory from my adolescence. And he was fine. And we just rode home and like kept playing, because kids, we bounced back apparently. And by the time I got to college, I had this kind of split. Heavy tech. Kept the bike. I go up to Harvard for college. I'm living in Cambridge. I rarely use public transit. I biked everywhere and I rollerbladed. So my outdoor life was functional. I can remember in my most stressful moments, getting on my bike and racing around the banks of the Charles River as fast as I could go. And I would hit this pocket where I was moving at the same speed as the wind. So it suddenly went from extremely loud and windy to utter peace. And like the stress of school, the stress of being in this white ass town in the Boston area, the stress of knowing how much my mother, had sacrificed me to get there, and just this burden of being like a Black person at an Ivy League school. You got to represent your race. I just try to represent me. I don't even know who that is. The bike gave me this ticket to relief, to freedom, and to like, I remember describing to my friends, like, I feel like I'm in sync with the universe. My mother gets credit for so much of this. She was an adventurous woman. She brought the bike into the family, as far as I know. Before I was born, my older sister arrived, Belinda, 9 years before me. My mother didn't have a car for a lot of her childhood. She had a bike. Like there are people who have older siblings who pick them up in the family car. My sister literally picked up my bike and brought it to me, and we went on some little adventure. And so these adventures, in hindsight, were very strategic, on my mom's part, and with my sister's support, showing me another world that wasn't just on the corner, that wasn't just on the stoop, the world was so much bigger than the block.
Black and brown people, we often live in communities where we're trying to shelter our children from the outside world, but your mother saw freedom and liberation in the outside. And so I'm thinking about like, what is that line of demarcation, you know, where you go from insulated for protection, but also like if you take it a step further, there's so much freedom there.
We can try to shield ourselves and our loved ones from the environment, from random risks, from systemic designed structural risks like this racism, you know, the supremacy stuff, but it can find a way. It kind of occurred to me, I don't even think I wrote this, it just I kind of felt it, that I have to practice being free before I'm free so that when I get free, I know how to be. And when I look back, I did not grow up with that poetry as a child, but I think I had exposure to that mindset through my mother and my sister supporting my exploration. Yes, you can go out into the woods of West Virginia. Yes, you can walk the Blue Ridge Mountains and go out to the Outer Banks of North Carolina and see the wild horses of Assateague and Chincoteague and go all the way up to Bar Harbor, Maine as like a 10-year-old, a little Black boy. No, we don't have money, but we own this car and my coworker has a tent we can borrow. So make a way out of no way. It's the little microcosms of the civil rights movement in my house. Yeah. And so thinking of these animals and these waterways as friends, as support structures, anybody who's feeling stressed, Black people, we need that. We deserve that. And we have had that. That was one of the other things that was taken from us in our transition to this land. So reclaiming that relationship, I think, is really important to our own healing as people and for the plant life and all the other life as well.
So that feels like a great opportunity to ask, how do you see America Outdoors as potentially a vehicle to bring this not only to Black individuals, but Black communities, Black youth, all of those different subsects of folks?
My wife jokes, not jokes, that I got to do adult summer camp. Yeah. We filmed this series last summer, and she was low-key jealous because it was, you know, the Delta summer. Had to be very careful, couldn't be bringing, you know, other folks in the row with me, including my wife. So I got to go out and have great adventures in this country that reminded me of the great adventures I had as a kid in this country. It's crazy. This is one nation, you know, from a people perspective or an ecological perspective. Like, how is all this one place? So I hope that what people get from the show is just my excitement. I didn't have to act to do this. I'm not like reading a prompter. I am genuinely excited. I laugh and I mean it. I'm shocked and I mean it. I'm afraid and that's real too. I'm hot and cold and like all those feelings and emotions are genuine. And I hope that what gets transmitted through the screens is enough of what I got to experience, you know, in the moment, that other folks get infected with that idea of there's so many ways to connect with nature. There's surfers in LA who are claiming beaches, you know, not for privates, but just like we belong here too. And I got to surf with 20, 30 Black people, like Wakanda on the Waves.
Is that the name of it?
No, it's called Color the Water.
Wakanda on the Waves is pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. I'm going to see some of them tonight. We're doing a little party for the series, so I'll offer that to them. They might have some issues with Marvel, but you know, Wakanda forever. So there's that, and then even, you know, I got to spend time in Idaho with people who are the newest to the country, refugee teenagers from Tanzania, from Myanmar. The show has all of that, and I get to ride horses and fly the Wright Brothers glider and whitewater raft in Appalachia with a paraplegic. We're busting up all these expectations of what the outdoors is and who it's for.
That is so beautiful.
I think about us and nature, and I think about, you know, what land has meant, what this land has meant for us. And for many, it's complicated. It's not like, this land is your land, this land is my land, like, let's go out into the country. You know who's out in the country?
Yeah.
them boys is out in the country, right? That's
And not the cowboys either.
No, you got sundown towns, and like you don't want to be some places that caught out after dark in this country. And the outdoors was the scene of the crime, you know, for us. It's where we were tortured and forced to build a nation that didn't want us to be a part of it. Mm-hmm. That's and lynched. And so our blood is in this soil. And then, you know, we pay taxes, but we can't use the parks. We can't go to the national parks until some of our lifetime still. It's very recent that we're kind of opening this up. And so I'm thinking about this and I'm feeling the healing. I'm feeling the complexity. I'm trying to hold all this stuff. And then it occurs to me very, very recently, we're not the only ones that need to heal. Black folk, yes. White folk, yes. All folk, yes. But also all life. I hope that as we feel more connected with nature, we will preserve it because that is self-preservation. And when I think about the trauma we as Black people have experienced, I think about the trauma that white folks who inflicted this on us have internalized and experienced and need to heal from that. I also think about the land that didn't ask for this. Mm-hmm. I think about the horses. They didn't ask to drag nobody. These trees didn't ask to hang anyone. This soil did not. It was not tilled and created and composted to host our blood. We've all been drawn into something very painful. We all have an opportunity to transition that into something very healing. And so a relationship with nature and the land, it can be adventurous, it can be practical, it can be income generating, it could just be your job, right? I think there's also a bit of our soul that we can reclaim through that, you know, reforging that connection.
That's so great. I have 40 million other things, but I'll leave us there. Look, I'll leave us there.
If anything I have said has resonated and you want more, check out America Outdoors. It's on PBS, so you already paid for it. Thank you. And the first 2 episodes are even fully on YouTube. I'm on social media, wherever Baratunde is found, and I'm throwing up all kinds of behind the scenes footage on my YouTube, on my Instagram, and my TikTok in particular. Thank you, Ambreia, so much for inviting me into this kindred space. I feel very kindred.